Hi, this is Steve Ronaldo, host of the Classic Car Show on America's Web Radio. Just talking to you about antique car insurance. I think that if you're looking for the best coverage for your classic car, consider J.C. Taylor Insurance. I've been my insurer for years in this hobby and have the top rating of all of the insurance companies in the hobby. When you get ready for insurance, call J.C. Taylor or visit jctaylor.com on the internet.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, everybody else, I don't know if I'm interested in you because we only have ladies and gentlemen here who are going to be civilized and respectful to each other.
Use that term loosely, that gentleman term.
Yeah, well, as long as you're respectful to people, I can call you a gentleman. Because people today, oh my God, these people have gotten so crazy, not respecting each other, their neighborhoods, their neighbors, anybody who comes into their neighborhoods. This is getting nuts.
You've got people beating up people because of the color of their skin.
Or because they're carrying an American flag.
Or because they're carrying an American flag. I said it before. I said it last week, Roger. If you're a Caucasian, you got a target on your back, and I feel sorry for you.
Imagine if you're a Caucasian police officer.
You've got even a bigger target on your back.
I know. Oh, my gosh. I'll say, it's nuts. But, but there are some people who want to help people out, and they want to help their cause. And Hollywood is big about this. They're big about causes. They have all kinds of
Hollywood
galas and fundraisers and everything.
Hollywood loves dumping money to Marxist organizations and mobs.
But what they don't realize, as soon as if they get their wish and those take over, the first people they're going to take control of is Hollywood.
Well, you let a mob grow, and these mobs, these Marxist groups, eventually they're going to come after you. And what happened, Roger, when they turned their sights on Beverly Hills? What did these elitists do?
Now, you got to realize, these are actors and actresses and Hollywood elites who have been funding money to get BLM and Antifa activists out of jail. So they want these people to continue doing what they're doing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They fund this stuff.
Yeah, they help put money towards this.
But what happens when these groups turn their sights on Beverly Hills? What happens?
See, celebrities pushed for an emergency order to ban protests or autonomous zones in Beverly Hills.
Exactly.
And they got that through easily and quickly, I'm sure.
It's good for you, but not for them.
Yeah, I want my walls and my protection, but if you live in Chicago or New York or Seattle or Portland, any of these other crazy cities or Minneapolis, we're going to get you out of jail and keep you protesting and fighting and looting and burning.
Yep. I want you to go protest. I want you to cause problems and go stick it to the man. But stay out of my neighborhood.
But not in my hood.
Not in my hood.
The burn, loot, murder crowd, those guys, the BLM, the burn, loot, murder crowd, those guys are, that's what they're doing. They're just destroying their own neighborhoods.
Yep. I mean, we're seeing the movie The Demolition Man. We're seeing it play out in live time right now. You've got these elitists that just want to sit on their perch. Oh, no, you go destroy that over there, but don't you dare come destroy over here.
I think we're about to step into an episode of The Purge.
You know what? It's sad, but as we've talked about before, Roger, we must become our own first responder.
Every day, now more than ever.
So now the purge is becoming more and more likely.
Oh, there's so many. There's so much stuff out there about people defending their businesses, defending their homes, accidentally driving through the wrong neighborhood and getting assaulted.
Look what happened to the lady who tried to drive home in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, did not see that one. Explain.
You got this lady that's driving through Louisville, gets assaulted by a band of thugs. They surround her car, screaming at her with a megaphone, and so she's like, "I just want to go home." And they keep going. So then she starts arguing with them. So then they they start pelting her car with rocks. Then one of them pulls out a gun. So she manages to drive off only a block because of a red light and does her duty and stops at the red light.
Oh, that's
and when
silly.
She stops, there come some more thugs. And one got in front of her, stood in front of her with a gun, pulled a gun out. And this time she did the right thing. She stomped on her gas pedal and got out of Dodge and made it home alive.
No kidding.
But you want to know what the news was reporting about that incident?
White person assaults BLM members in
led
traffic accident.
Led by NPR. Their title of the story was "Extremists Using Vehicles to Target Protesters."
Right.
That's how they described that story.
Because if you've been watching news, you see how these protesters are. All these people want to do is drive on the roads that they've paid their taxes for years and years to build, and people are supposed to be out of the way of them, or at least you cross on the light when you're supposed to. You don't just run out in the middle of the street and start beating on somebody's window.
Absolutely not. If you want to protest, fine, you protest, but you're not. Your right to protest doesn't give you the right to obstruct other people's daily lives.
Or to assault other people.
And damn sure doesn't give you your right to assault.
Destroy their property? No,
And,
these rights, they not go away.
They blocked her path and started pelting her with rocks and smashing her car, and then pulled a gun on her.
Yeah, there's a story in Atlanta that was very similar. Now, I hadn't verified it, but I saw pictures of the car. Apparently, this social justice warrior was heading into the part of Atlanta to go support black businesses during the Black Lives Matter protest. So she went to eat at a local restaurant where she knew was black owned, and she was on her way home heading for the freeway. She was stopped by about 20 people. They ended up throwing a rock. It looked they had the rock sitting in the front of the car. She took a picture. It's the size of a honeydew melon. She threw it through her car, smashed her arm, smashed her leg. She's bleeding profusely now. And they sucker punched her passenger about 3 or 4 times before she could roll the window up. Then when a guy pulls a gun and levels it at her, she punches the accelerator, goes around the corner. But her friend called 911 at this point, and they run right into police. They jump out of the car, and the police take care of it from there. But here, this girl is trying to support their cause, support local businesses, and this is how they treat her.
Yeah.
We all know the saying there, no good deed ever goes unpunished.
Yeah, because of the color of her skin. And I'm sure she was screaming, "Hey, I'm supporting you idiots."
Yeah,
and
but
look what happened to her.
But they don't
because
care.
Those thugs aren't there because of minority rights. They're there to create chaos and hurt
and division.
People. And
that's right.
They didn't care what she was there for.
They did not want her. That road was closed to her because she was white, is what they were telling her.
They said, "Your skin is white. We're going to beat you now," and that's what they tried to do.
So they're just pushing
and
racism
what did the cops
further
do?
and further.
You think the cops went over and arrested people?
Well, I don't know if they could. There's a crowd of people. How are you going to pick somebody out of a crowd? I guess. I mean, you
with a gun.
Yeah. Well, the guy with the gun should be pretty easy to spot.
Well, I would have said, "Hey, let's go back and you point these fools out." It was only about maybe it was. More
she said there were about 20 of them, but still,
I would have gone after every one of them.
Yeah.
All of these people need to be arrested.
It's time to start making things for cars to help. They need, blades or spikes on the car so you can just run the guy through and carry him to the police station.
Well, it reminds me of another movie, Roger.
Skewer him.
Remember the movie Death Race 2000?
Yes.
Well, there we go. We might have to have we're going to turn into that now.
We're in Death Race 2020.
Death Race 2020. I think that we need to write a new movie.
Oh, my gosh.
A sequel, I guess,
and it
to
wouldn't
Death
even
Race
be in
2000.
prison either.
Nope. Now there's 2 of them. So the original Death Race 2000, then there was the new Death Race 2000. Now we're going to have Death Race 2020.
Oh, my gosh.
I like Legendary Dave's idea. He said to get a bunch of buses and take the seats out and use those, go around, and these thugs, round them up, throw them in the bus, take them to jail.
Yep, that'd be one. Hey, these...
No. I didn't say take them to jail.
No, I was nicer than you were.
I said, no, take them to the closest recruiting.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I forgot. I like that idea. That was even better.
Sign up for the Army or for
Yeah.
the Marines.
Or go to jail.
They've got a choice. You're going to go to boot camp or you're going to go to jail. Yeah, I like it.
There are some countries that require you to have military service before
Israel
becoming a
being one of
citizen. Yeah, Israel's the one that comes to mind first.
Yep.
And, everybody has to serve in some capacity.
And, I'm just all
movie?
I'm all about movies today.
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers.
That
Want
one
to be a citizen?
Yeah. Now
Join today.
The book, they went into a lot more detail as to being a citizen you had to serve.
Yep.
But in this country, you're given the right as soon as you're born. You become a citizen of this country.
Right.
So you have that right or that privilege bestowed upon you just by being born here.
Definitely.
And, people don't realize this is something I want to tell people who want to, all these people who protest from the quiet of their protected neighborhoods and their, police protected areas and their gated communities. The only reason you sleep in peace at night is because there are people out there willing to do great violence on your behalf. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to kill the bad guy. There are people out there who are sworn to protect you and to do violence on your behalf. Even though you may hate the police, you may hate the military, they're still willing to defend you and your rights. And you think if they're gone, your rights are still going to exist? Not a chance. Especially in a world like this, if you can't defend your own property, your own family, no one's going to do it for you. In fact, with the Atlanta police, that was a quick story from last week. The district attorney decided to charge the cop with a felony murder charge and 11 other charges. Now, the police go, this is ridiculous. The guy turned around and fired what was considered a weapon at the police officer. He fired back, hitting the suspect, taking him to the ground. But now they want to charge him with a murder charge, which could possibly carry the death sentence. That is absolutely ridiculous. But the Atlanta police have responded. Well, or should I say have not responded. A lot of them going to work, not responding to calls, just calling in sick, or going to work and just not answering the radio. So you call the Atlanta police, you may not see anybody for hours.
Well,
See, if you don't like the police, see how much you like it without them.
Yep. Well,
That's-
when seconds count.
Cops are minutes away. Well, now they're going to be hours
Now
away.
they're going to be hours away, or they're going to be like, we're not going in there.
No, there's
I
a
mean,
chance I could get charged with murder. I'm not going to go
Yeah.
into any situation where I may have to draw my weapon.
It's ridiculous. We're going to have a bunch of police officers that write tickets for speeding.
That's all they do. A lot of them, that's all they do.
And that's all they're going to do now more than ever. Because
yeah.
Why do they? If they have to pull their weapon, they're going to get put up on murder charges.
It's unfortunate that the politicians have control over what the police can do. That's the problem.
Well, that's 100% true.
Politicians running police departments is a bad policy. They need to be autonomous. Speaking of autonomous, let's go back to Seattle.
Are we going to talk about the nation of Chaz? Chop Chaz?
Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone,
Whatever
or
those-
peaceful protest, or
Whatever those fools are calling
what is it?
themselves now.
I forgot what the O stands for. Oppose? Protest?
I
don't know. Something
remember.
protest.
Yeah,
I don't know. Chaz, Chop, whatever.
Real peaceful.
Idiots.
They're letting their own people die.
Yes, and because they're not allowing the police or first responders in to save these people when they get shot. When burglaries are occurring, there's been assaults, rapes, murders.
Murders.
This is the autonomous zone. This
and
is
not-
utopia.
Not just in the little utopia there in the nation of Chaz, but you look out throughout most Democrat-run cities, crime is off the charts. In some places, 300% up, if not more.
Chicago had a record-breaking weekend.
Record-breaking weekend. Chicago's got to stop breaking records because these aren't good records.
Yeah.
But they just had
105 people shot or something.
I want to say it was 114. I think people
Triple
shot.
digits.
14 dead.
Wow.
5 of them children.
And that's just one weekend.
One weekend.
And it was Father's Day
We're
weekend.
talking about.
Was this like a group
Well,
activity? Was there a tour going on?
Was this the baby mamas going after the deadbeat dads?
Maybe, or maybe
Man, I don't
deadbeat,
know.
or the deadbeat dad's coming in wanting to get some time, and the mama's new boyfriend was fighting off the baby
Oh,
daddy. I don't know.
Man,
I'd like to know what's going on with some of those things.
it's unbelievable this mess that Chicago. And again, who run Chicago for the past 30, 40, 50 years plus?
Liberals,
Not
Democrats,
exactly. There's no Republican in sight, nor has there been in.
and their gun controls are some of the
decades.
strictest in the country.
Yeah, you can't protect yourself.
But yet somehow these criminals manage to find a way to get guns. How does that?
Oh, the
How does
gang-
that happen?
The gangbangers got all the guns, and you, the citizen, forget about it.
That's right.
You
They don't
have
want
the
you to have
right
anything.
to have it.
If you
and
follow
they
the
don't.
law, you can't have much of anything.
Yep.
But I guarantee you'll be outgunned if you follow the law in Chicago, New York,
Yep.
New Jersey, California.
But who guards these elitists? These elitists have private security.
they probably
They
have all kinds
abuse the police department.
Yep.
The very police department they wanted to fund now. Boy, this is just gonna get.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because like the Hollywood people, they have all these laws now. You can't have any gatherings between 9 p.m. and 8 a.m.
Unless.
Any gatherings defined as more than 10 people on a public street. So they're shutting down all these protests before they even get started. They'll have none of this business in their neighborhood.
Not in the in the elitist neighborhoods. But if you're out in a regular city with Joe Blow,
And you get arrested,
well,
they'll pay your bail.
then you can, not only that, you can get together as many as you want with no mask and don't need anything.
Right.
There is no Wuhan virus when it comes to protesting. in
That's
the
right.
name
The
of,
protesting takes precedence over any kind of health concern.
Somehow the Wuhan COVID-19 is a woke virus.
So apparently now, though, the autonomous zone is no longer the summer of love that they
Yeah.
hoped it would be.
That the idiot mayor was trying to tell the news media, oh, it's going to be the summer of love.
It's a peaceful
Tell that
protest.
to the guy that bled out because
yeah,
they wouldn't
'cause
let
they couldn't
the
get it. They
first
wouldn't let an
responders.
ambulance in to save him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably could have saved his life by letting an ambulance in, but they wouldn't do it. Or the police have to go in first to secure the area. They're not sending in EMTs without police protection. I don't blame them.
Yep.
I mean, because who knows what these uncivilized morons are going to do? It's not worth it.
You know, this brings up something that I feel very strongly about, and obviously the most mayors and I would not agree, and most Democrats and I would not agree, because they're the ones that stopped it. But you know, our military has some vehicles that are incredible. You know, and
Yes, they do.
do I need to say more?
I know
what are
exactly
those-
where you're going.
What are those things they have on the front of the trains?
Those
The
are
cow catchers.
Cow catchers.
Wouldn't they
exactly.
catch protesters just as well?
I think they would.
But how can you get a train going down the street without
Well,
track?
no, you can attach something to another vehicle.
Yeah.
Snow
Actually,
plows plow
I've seen
snow.
cop
That's
cars
right.
with something very similar
Yeah.
in the past. But when they ban it's too militaristic that we have military.
Right. Well, if they don't want to be used military vehicles, then I say,
I think paint them pink.
well,
There
let's
you go.
Let's pull out
Paint
the
daisies
snow.
on 'em.
Let's
Yeah.
pull out the snow plows and give them something to do when it's not snow on the ground.
Yeah.
They can plow protesters.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
that works.
Not the innocent. I'm talking about the mobs that are destroying and
the
rioting.
burn,
and
loot,
looting.
murder crowd.
Let me clarify before we get some emails.
Yeah. We're talking about the burn, loot, murder crowd. Now, before we go any further, I have a couple public service announcements I'd like to make.
Dun, dun, dun.
One, if looters come to your neighborhood, don't be a litter bug. Police up your brass. Pick up your brass after you're done. And as far as what to do with
Do
the
you
remains,
realize that about 99% of the people listening probably don't know what police up the brass means?
I say
Probably
pick up
not.
your brass.
Pick up the brass.
If anybody's a shooter, they know
And-
what pick up
and-
your
Oh,
brass
I
means.
know, but how many people are shooters?
I don't know. If they're
and
listening
not-
here, they might be, or they want to be.
And nicely
If you wanna
stack
be.
the bodies at the end.
At
of
the curb, yeah. So I don't know how. I don't know if you call the trash department, you call the coroner's. I don't know. That probably varies by city or by county when you have to pick up the trash.
Some of these bodies can be recycled. There are organs that can be.
That's right. There's medical places.
And we're
that
gonna
can
get
use
the
them.
emails now.
I don't get any emails. There's only 7 people listening to me. So
Roger
whatever.
at americaswebradio.com. That's Roger at americaswebradio.
Oh wait, I have one more public service announcement to make. Okay, here we go. Make sure you load those magazines because ammo in a box is not going to do you any good unless you intend on throwing it at them. So load those
Very good.
magazines.
Load those mags.
Pick up your brass. Don't be a litter bug. Do this right. There are certain considerations we have to make. Just because there's madness going on and uncivilization and people breaking all kinds of laws is no need to be a litter bug. So make sure you get that done. Pick up your brass if you have looters in your neighborhood, and make sure you load those magazines. Now would be a good time to start doing that because, if you're going to wait till it's already in your neighborhood, it's going to get a little. Loading magazines is hard, especially when you're under pressure. Trust me, I've done that before. It's rough. We had a shooting scenario once. We had to load our mag on the run with a box of ammo in a pocket and had to pull it out and load a magazine while we were under a timer. Boy, there's nothing that'll get you stressed quicker than that. But anyway, so pick up your brass and load your magazines. Just 2 little helpful tips from Locked and Loaded.
And know where that weapon is.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Don't hide it from yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Put it somewhere where it'll be in a quote-unquote safe place and you don't remember where you put it. Now, if you have kids, that can be difficult sometimes because, you hide things from the kids. And as they get older, you have to hide it in better and better places until you forget where you put it.
Well, safe works. But
Yep.
don't forget the combination to your safe.
That's right. And there are safes with the finger pressing, too. 1, 3, 5, 2, or whatever. You have the 4 little numbers. Get a code. Remember it. Practice it. Otherwise, you're going to put it under your bed. You're going to hit the code a few times and go, oh, wait, did I change that? Is that the right numbers? I don't know. Oh. And then you're going to have to throw a safe with a gun in it at somebody breaking into your house.
It's hard for a safe to say, I forgot my passcode.
There's no clicking of forget your password on the safe. That's right. There's no way to fix that. Write it down, put it in your phone, do something with it. Tell it to, if you're married, tell it to your wife because they remember everything. So I've heard.
Even the bad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But anyway, okay, now we're going to go to Chaz because this is an owner of a store that was bordering the Chaz. He wasn't even in the autonomous zone or I can't remember what the OP stands for. But anyway, he said he called 911 numerous times while a mob showed up and the police never came. Now, he was not in the zone. He was near it. So this is, he told the news that he received a call after a suspect shattered a window, then set fire to the front of his counter. He said the suspect poured hand sanitizer on a cassette tape, yanked the film out, poured hand sanitizer, then lit everything on fire. Oh, look at that. Hand sanitizer used as an accelerant.
As an accelerant?
Who would have thought that would have been something that would come about? And it's easy to carry that around. If you're carrying a gas can, you look suspicious. But if you're carrying a jug of hand sanitizer, hey.
You're just with the times right now.
You're just concerned about COVID and being sanitary.
I wonder if it works. Let's try it. You got a minute? Let's see if a squirt by that. You know how you can take a can of hairspray?
Oh,
By
yeah.
the way, this is a very good deterrent. Our deodorant. And,
Yes.
Yep.
strike a
aerosol.
match.
But why?
Yep. You
There
get
are
yourself a
several
little
companies
aerosol
making
flamethrower.
flamethrowers that civilians can buy.
Yes.
If you want to cheap out, just
Gillette,
use a can of hairspray. But no, you can actually buy a flamethrower now.
I'd like to have one myself.
I would too. I'm looking
I've
at
got
it.
one.
there you
I've
go.
got the real
Oh,
one.
you've got the
There you go.
Yeah.
I got a
but,
feeling Legendary Dave has a flamethrower very similar to the one that we saw in the my goodness, the movie. Today's just going to be movie day.
Movie day.
There was a movie. Oh, if you haven't seen it, David, you need to see it. You need to see it tonight. It was Hollywood. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You got to see that movie.
An old
Dave.
World War II flamethrower. Yeah.
My flamethrower was for killing weeds around my wells. And I have a propane tank attached to it that's
Excellent.
full. And I threaten an ice storm to come to my house.
Your driveway's going to be clear.
Yep.
My driveway, and it'd be very similar to, except I don't have a real. Well, I do. I can go from yellow to blue pretty fast.
Okay, well, these new ones fire accelerant out of the nozzle and ignite it as it comes out. You can throw a stream up to 50 feet of lit accelerant. And they're civilian legal. I don't know for how long, but...
Where do you get one of those dudes?
Hey, internet can sell you anything, and they are legal. There's no restriction on them. You don't even have to be... you don't even have to fill out a firearms form to get this, because it's used for weed control, for plant control, for de-icing. I mean, it works wonders for that. I don't know what else you could do with it, but those seem like pretty good uses.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go beyond that. But anyway, so this guy puts out the fire that these guys started in his store, and then he pursued the suspect, chased him down, and as soon as they came face to face, he came at me, so I put him on the ground, was his recollection of the events. He pinned the suspect while his father dialed 911 a total of 19 times. And the suspect sliced McDermott's jeans with a box cutter. And other protesters soon arrived, and the video on social media shows the mob knocking over a section of fencing, running in to confront the owners, angrily demanding the return of the original suspect. So this is going on. And the police, after being called 19 times to a suspected arsonist, burglar, actually a robbery, because they were there.
Armed robbery.
And he said, and they weren't going to send anybody to this guy.
Of course not.
They're supposed to be the people you call if you need help. And they didn't send anybody. And he wasn't even in the zone. He was outside the zone, but he was close enough to where the police didn't want to send anybody. Keep that in mind when you're buying weapons.
Yes, I recommend every household have an AR-15.
Oh, at least
And,
every member of the household who's capable of using it should have one.
Should have one. with multiple mags.
Yes, the magazines are the probably the most forgotten part of any potential disaster situation. Because if you have to sit there and load 1 or 2 magazines up over and over again, oh my gosh, you're going to end up in big trouble really fast.
Really fast.
But if you have 20 magazines loaded, wrapped around your body somewhere, you can go for quite a ways.
Look, let me tell you something. With one AR-15 and 20 or so mags, I could hold off a mob of 20 plus.
As long as you have some good cover somewhere, absolutely.
Yeah, and this is the argument that kills me is when a liberal or Democrat or socialist tries to tell me and exactly that I don't need an AR-15. I can't tell you how many numbskulls on Facebook. We're not trying to get rid of the Second Amendment, but you don't need 30 rounds. You don't need that. Don't tell me what I need, first off.
Yeah, that's right.
How hard is it to put a laser scope on an AR?
Not hard at all.
Just takes money.
Yeah.
Buy the laser scope, it mounts right on.
How good of a laser do you want?
I think have stuff for a couple $100 you can put on there and laser stuff up. Laser, flashlights, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, if the conditions are right, a laser works both ways.
Well, so does a flashlight.
Yeah, flashlight is probably even worse than a laser. It works
worse.
regardless of conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they see a bright light come into the room, they can shoot right at that light.
They're going to know where you are. So you want to shoot and move. Shoot and move.
When you learn to use a flashlight correctly, you learn to use it, you turn it on, you look, you turn it off.
Yeah.
And then you move.
Well, I'll give you a little piece of advice, too. If you're just happen to find yourself in a situation where you need to throw off a little decoy, carry an extra flashlight with you.
Yes.
You place this flashlight, you turn it on, you move, and then you shoot.
Then when they fire, you fire at their muzzle blast.
They're firing at the flashlight, and you fire at their muzzle blast.
And if it's dark in your house and you throw that flashlight out and lit, their eyes are going to follow it.
Oh, they're going to go.
And
to
you're
the
going to
flashlight.
go. They're going to.
Yeah,
You're going
as
to
long as you
blind
can
them.
see them, though. That's the thing.
And you can see them.
Well, yeah, but like I say, even if you can't,
But now a
you
lot
put
of-
that flashlight, and then when they fire at that, you fire at them because you're going to see where they're firing.
And a lot of weapons flashlights have a strobe mode where it gives us the highest intensity
Yeah.
and it strobes, and that'll pretty much temporarily blind somebody.
Yeah, it sure will.
And it disorients you. Even if you're using it, it can be disorienting.
Well, that's why flash grenades
Practice.
are so much fun.
Yes.
I mean,
if you happen to have some, by all means.
yeah.
I highly recommend their use in a home invasion situation.
Absolutely. If you get multiple assailants, I highly recommend a good flash grenade.
Yeah, but this guy he was sitting there trying to protect his business. He captured the bad guy, and the mob's coming after him, and the cops are nowhere to be found. 19 calls to 911. Nobody even said they're coming. They're going to be there.
What city was this?
This was in, where's the Chaz? Seattle?
Seattle,
Yeah, this was just outside the Chaz area.
where they're very restrictive on gun ownership.
Yeah.
Although this-
And the police responded. Let's see. Okay. So Seattle police did not respond to the incident last night and documented the incident on a report. Case number 2020-18-8030 due to limited staffing.
So they made notes.
We were unable to provide you with a redacted copy. Yes. Okay. So just keep in mind, as more and more anti-police sentiment goes everywhere, you're going to have slower and slower response times, less and less police wanting to be in the force.
So I have another recommendation. Keep some plastic zip tie handcuffs.
Oh yeah, you can buy
handy.
those at any police supply
any
store. And
supply
anybody
store.
can have those. Yes.
Keep some of those on hand because if you're going to have to wait 24 hours or more for the cops to arrive, you put these bozos in a nice little zipped hog tie.
Let me tell you something. If law goes to vigilante status, there's going to be a lot more death penalties.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Capital punishment is going to come very rapidly.
Yes, you will not have as many
Very
people
right.
wanting to handcuff somebody. If you're firing
That's
at me, I'm not going to wait and try and apprehend you
Well,
until you're done.
that
Feed
is
you to my
true.
dog.
That is true. You know, I will do everything I can to resolve something without gunfire or without a death shot.
Right.
But if you shoot at me and attempt to take my life, whether it be a gun or a knife or a bat or whatever,
Taser.
I'm not going to shoot to miss.
That's right. You're
Once you
trained to
put me
shoot
in that
center mass.
yeah, you put me in that position, then yeah, like I said, I'll be nice up until the point where it's time
Not to be nice. And you'll know when that is.
Another great movie.
Oh my, we're having fun today. Oh, but wait. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah. So you think if you don't think this is going to happen to you, like I say, in Atlanta, New York, Minneapolis, Seattle, all these cities are already having problems with cops. Don't want to be there. They're not answering calls because why should they?
And they're
why
doing,
should they?
They're coming
take a
down with a
beating?
case of the blue flu.
That's right. In fact, now this is, I don't know if it's been confirmed or not, but there have been news sources that have said the New York Police Department is planning a hiatus on July 4th. In fact, the what did it say? Will strike on July 4th to let the city have their independence without cops. So I'm curious to see how this goes.
We know how this is going to go.
Because, all the law-abiding citizens who follow the laws and don't buy guns and don't have them in your house, and you expect the police to show up when you need assistance, don't count on that anymore.
I would also like to suggest that any of you Democrats out there who are for this defunding of the police and you're making excuses for BLM and the other radical groups, go ahead and put that sign out in your yard that you've been waiting to put out that you're a gun-free zone. Please,
by all means,
put that sign in your yard. If put your money where your mouth is, please.
That's right. Gun-free
Please.
zone here.
Yeah,
let
please.
let the criminals know you are with them.
Yeah,
You support their
you
cause.
support
You
their
are a
cause.
Democrat. You are a liberal. You do not want any guns in your zone.
You don't want guns. You don't want policing. You don't let them know, and let's see how long it takes the mob to come pay you a visit and thank you for your cooperation.
That's right. Let's see how long it takes. Yeah, to thank you. But this New York thing, I don't know. We don't know if this is going to happen. Maybe they'll resolve something before this happens. July 4th is around the corner, folks. This is coming. Mm-hmm. And they're saying, okay, a flyer being passed around said the strike will begin at 1500 hours, which for those of you who don't know is 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
And just as this walkout is being planned, if this is being planned, can you imagine the planning that's going on right now with the looters, the rioters, the burners, the
people who think, ooh, the cops are not going to be there. What are we going to get into on July 4th?
Yep. So how many people are going to be targets?
And imagine the fireworks, gunfire. It's going to get confusing. It's going to get crazy. Smoke bombs going off.
I want to give another piece of advice here also to we like to do good things here at the radio station.
Absolutely.
And we like to protect our listeners. So Cousin Mark.
Mark the Shark.
Cousin Mark out there who's up in New York, please stock yourself with frozen paintballs. Get yourself multiple paintball guns because you're not going to be able to have an AR-15, but at least you can knock somebody in some real good pain.
And even
with
if you have an
frozen
AR-15,
paintball.
you're limited to 7 rounds.
Yeah. So when you run out of your 7 rounds, but you're not limited, at least to my knowledge.
paintballs are not
I don't think
limited.
you're limited on paintballs. So please.
Frozen paintball may not kill anybody.
No, but
it'll cause some ouchies.
It will cause some major pain, and if you hit them in the right spot, it will put them
in the
down.
face. Yeah, that could certainly break an eye orbit or break a nose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet, crank that sucker up and let her rip.
Let her rip. So yes, you folks out there in New York and Cousin
And
Mark,
how do you
we care
fill them
about
out?
you.
What do you fill them up with?
No,
So the paintballs
they're
actually, when you buy them, they're full. They're full of paint.
Well,
and
you could
just
take
freeze
a hypodermic and put some, some
And a
hot
once-
sauce in it.
Once you pierce
And
the
a
skin, though,
slingshot.
it doesn't usually stay. Yes, they do make
Well,
they
it
do make
depends on how
pepper gas
deep
or pepper spray paintballs.
Do they?
Oh,
yeah.
I'd load up
That's
on
an-
them.
Yeah, that's another one to
They're
get.
expensive, but you can get them. Yes, and they fire through a standard
Well,
paintball gun.
When you're in New York and you're facing the possibility of a crime wave and you can't have guns, then you need to stock up on whatever you can. And paintballs is a great way to do it. And if you got the regular paintballs, freeze them, or do what David and Roger said: get yourself some tear gas balls.
That's right. Some
whatever you
irritant
can
balls.
You're going to have a set of balls just to be there.
That's right.
But yeah, this is. You.
Well, once you start fighting back, these thugs, they don't have balls, so
Yeah.
they're gonna
Once they get
run,
hit a
you
couple
know.
times, you're probably going to
Yeah.
make them run.
they're just going to go to your neighbor's house.
But I just wonder if this happens in New York, what's going to happen to these people up there? Are they going to get woke to a whole new situation? Like, oh my God, the police were not so bad after all.
You mean they might have a red wokeness or a Republican wokeness?
Well, I'm just saying a more gun friendly.
Como will come out and have a press conference for 3 hours.
And he'll fix everything.
And he'll just be talking about it and playing with his hands. And,
Yep.
Had I had the support of the federal government, this wouldn't have happened.
And don't you worry, after he's through blaming de Blasio, the other idiot in New York, then he'll go back to taking down the Teddy Roosevelt statue. Important stuff like that.
Which one is Tweedledee and which one is Tweedledum? Do we know? Have we determined that yet?
If there ever was a Dumb and Dumber in reality, you're looking at those. Just look at those two.
And then what is it? This was off. It's off base for the gun thing, but they were talking about they opened up a bunch of playgrounds in New York, but none of the playgrounds in Jewish neighborhoods were opened up because they say the mayor is an anti-Semitic wussy, and he's afraid to do that. So these people are cutting the locks off the playgrounds themselves and opening up the playground so kids can play. So they were afraid of kids playing together on a playground, but yet
can't have
10,000 people amassing in the streets is no problem. That's not a corona.
Well, I told you, apparently the Wuhan COVID-19 is a woke virus.
You mean the Chinese Wuhan?
The Chinese Wuhan COVID-19 corona.
Let's offend everybody.
And I don't want to say Corona because, I want Corona to be a sponsor of this show, Corona Beer, and people are boycotting Corona Beer because they think Corona Beer has Corona. Anyway.
That was some fact in that.
The Chinese Wuhan Kung Flu, the Kung Flu virus has... It seems to be woke. So if you're protesting, the virus steers clear of you. If you're a child that wants to play on a playground, forget about it. You're going to get the virus.
Targets you.
It
yes.
targets you. Yes.
Oh,
and, by the way, we have a listener in Atlanta that pointed out that this is a great Home Alone show.
Oh yeah, that's right. If you have to make up your own defense situation, that would be a way to do it for sure.
Like we've talked before, and this has sort of been a bit off the chart today, but the bottom line is, whether you have weapons or you don't have weapons, have a plan. That doesn't cost anything. You don't have to get a license for it. You don't have to worry about killing anybody with
Running is a viable option.
Yeah, fast. And know where your tennis shoes are, and throw them at them.
But here's something interesting. Mark the Shark has just let me know he has solid nylon paintballs. No filling required. Those suckers hit with a little bit of oomph, don't
That's
they?
That's right.
What does she look like?
Paintballs?
No, his nylon fill.
Yes. Oh, man.
Oh, well.
So be aware of that. Yeah, have a plan, because running away costs nothing, and it's a viable option. If you can't defend your property and your home, then you need to run.
Maybe make yourself a little stamp and label your paintballs Kung Flu balls.
There you go.
COVID-19 testing vials. And shoot those, and maybe you'll scare your.
Well, you don't know for sure they can read.
True.
Did you ever get your signs made? Protected by coronavirus.
Yeah.
This home protected by Corona.
Wuhan Kung Flu virus.
But you see all these protests everywhere in these big cities, and nobody's standing up to these guys.
So if I get COVID-19 and recover, which I'm sure I would,
I probably think I already have.
Could I then say that I have been trained in the Kung Flu?
Kung Flu? You're a Kung Flu master?
I'm a Kung Flu master. I mean, these are the things
we have a Kung Fu master that does a
right.
show here.
We do, yes.
An actual Kung Fu master.
Yes,
right.
Deru.
That is right.
Shifu.
Awesome guy.
But, okay, so, most of us know, because we know history, we know the Democrats started segregation and decided to, they thought separate but equal, Well, now apparently, I think it is in Seattle, they're doing it again. They're marking certain parks for black only. I kid you not, this is for real. So apparently segregation is making a comeback.
So the very thing they say they're against, they're implementing?
Yes.
How does this make sense?
And in parts of Chaz, they have gardens that are black only. So you have segregation based on race. But yet everyone's supposed to be getting along with each other, but yet you're going to separate by race.
So I'm supposed to be mad because there might be some white people who maybe have a Confederate flag and they say they're going to vote for Trump, and not be mad at the white people and the black people who are bringing back segregation.
Segregating parks, local parks.
So they're basing entrance on skin color. You're making decisions on skin. What the hell does that sound like to them?
That's purely racist, I would think.
I mean,
You're
it's
saying-
racist, it's prejudice, it's bigoted. Well, you can call it all of them.
That's right, but that's
But
but the liberals who started all this back in the
Wait a sec. What are they calling this place?
Chaz.
Chaz.
Why don't they call it Mississippi?
Oh,
But
because Mississippi is probably less messed up than this place is by a long shot.
No kidding. But I mean, think about that. We're supposed to be mad at people because they might have a rebel flag for some reason, and I really don't care. The flag's not going to hurt me, but
You can have whatever you
We
want. I mean, you
should be,
see swastikas, you see rebel
exactly.
flags. I mean, you know what? I'll ignore you
yeah,
as long as you don't come
absolutely.
after anybody or come after them and try and
exactly. If you don't come try and
do
put one of those on
but
me,
physical
I mean,
harm.
Again, the
Exactly.
rebel flag is history.
So
It
is the
is-
SWAT. So
it
is the
part of
Nazi
history,
flag.
So is the Nazi flag. And,
Yeah.
and I would just
And
as
how many times with all this stuff going on, or I don't know about now, but in the past, the terrorists, which comes back to what we were talking about earlier. How many times did you see the swastika?
right.
You know, and the
A few.
I mean, think about it. It's
Or the-
but just as Germany should never, look, Auschwitz is still there.
Why?
And
You know why it's still
yeah,
there.
absolutely. This is exactly
they
where
make
I
a
was
lot of
going
money
with
off
this.
of it's why.
Well,
because people
I mean,
tour it.
it's there, so it's not forgotten.
That's right. Why do you want to
And-
erase history?
And that's the thing. Just as I don't want Germany, can you imagine if Germany was being run by the idiot left that's here right now? They would
Struck
be
up the fires.
They would be trying to burn down Auschwitz or
Take down all
take
these
down
places
all-
that had history in them.
and that is a stain on Germany. But just because it's a stain on Germany doesn't mean the people of Germany today feel the way they did back then. But my gosh, you should never forget that. If they forget the history, they're going to repeat it.
Well,
But
wait
keep
a
it-
wait a
which is what
second.
we're doing
You were the last one to bring over a bunch of slaves from Africa, weren't you?
Was that me? Wait a minute. Nah, man, we did no such thing. I don't know what you're talking about.
The only slave I've ever owned was a slave cylinder for my Nissan.
For the Nissan.
Oh, and there's a master cylinder also. Oh,
There is a
my.
master cylinder.
how racist is that? You can have a slave cylinder, a master
And a
cylinder on your
master-
car. Oh my
You
God,
know,
that's so racist.
everybody
we need to
out
fix
there-
that.
So every vehicle out there right now is a
With a
racist
clutch.
vehicle because it has a master cylinder. Oh man!
But I
it
mean
just
that
doesn't
makes
stop.
as much sense as blaming,
It
I
makes
didn't
about
cause
as
the
much
Civil
sense
War.
as saying I'm going to tear down a Teddy Roosevelt
What about
statue.
that lock? What about that lock company? What are they? Master Locks?
Master
Oh my
lock.
God!
You can't have a
Hey.
master lock. I have a master lock. Holy crap! Am I a racist?
So racist, prejudiced, bigoted.
Oh my gosh! It just see.
okay, we're going to take a
It's
break.
never going to end.
Okay, quick
Oh,
break
it's
here.
break
Docs
time.
for
Break.
Patient Care Foundation is your way to join the fight and become a member of an organization created by doctors for patients dedicated to fighting for your healthcare freedom and preserving the doctor-patient relationship. Get a pen and paper. Write down www.docsforpatientcarefoundation.org. That's www.docsforpatientcarefoundation.org. Go to our site and please make a generous tax-deductible donation and join the fight today. Thank you.
Quick Stakes, that's Q-U-I-K Stakes, are not just for surveyors. They are great for family and community gardens. Go online to www.quickstake.com or contact your local land surveying supply dealer and get you a box of Quick Stakes. You'll love them every year when you plant your garden. Again, that's Quick Stakes, Q-U-I-K Stakes, the truly preferred way to stake and identify what's in your garden now.
You can keep your doctor, you can keep your plan, and every family will save thousands of dollars a year. I'm Ellen Deal, and if you've been hurt by the Affordable Care Act, you can email MAGA45CAG@gmail.com to see if we can help. Small business owners, individuals, families, and baby boomers, email MAGA45CAG@gmail.com for 3 easy questions to determine if you can get away from Obamacare. I'm a 20-year veteran of the insurance industry and here to help you for all your insurance needs.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
And we're back, ladies, gentlemen, anybody else who might be listening.
I have a very important question.
Oh, Victor Armendariz.
Can we no longer have, the races where maybe the father and the son or the father and the daughter tie a leg together and they have to race with their legs tied, so they're basically shackled?
Oh no, no shackling.
Is shackle racing racist now?
Probably.
I mean, what about the ball and chain? Can I have a ball and chain?
Isn't that called a wife?
Wait. You got them tied together. That is not social distance.
Oh, right.
Oh, yes.
No more shackle racing. Not just only racist. You're not social distanced.
Oh, yeah.
But what if it's a
geez.
protest shackle race? If it's a protest shackle race, then I think you don't have to be social distance because the Kung Flu is woke, and then you can shackle and race, but then it's racist. You just can't win.
And you can kiss everybody you go by.
Oh, right.
I did have one comment. Apparently, somebody in the military thinks your plan is flawed. Don't round up all these guys and make them join the military. He goes, the Army doesn't want them.
Yeah, we did it.
He's like, no.
For a second earlier, I did pause inside. I didn't say anything, but I paused myself and go, some of those guys are probably not going to make it. And it's probably true. The Army probably doesn't want them.
That was, we'll call him Sergeant Gump made that comment.
The Army has a way of, or the Army, I can't address any other branch, but the Army has a way of Ginsburging them. Remember what Ginsburg said about abortions?
Not particularly. I'm sure she's all in favor.
Oh yeah, definitely, and that's a way of getting rid of the undesirables. That was Ginsburg.
Oh, I see.
I believe Martha Singer or whatever the
Margaret
Singer, the Democrat
founder,
supremacist, very
Parenthood.
racist lady who founded Planned Parenthood.
Yeah,
and they hold her up on a pedestal.
Yeah, and so does Ginsburg.
And so does Ginsburg. Yeah.
So you send them to the Army or the Marines, and they will either conform or
get beat into submission.
They will be sent back one way or the other.
Go to jail or do well in the Army. Okay, yeah, but he said the Army doesn't want them. So maybe we should use the Marines or the Navy. Because, I'm not going to get into that.
No.
But anyway, okay. So BLM's protesting, the burn, loot, murder crowd, the Antifa's protesting, the anti-First Amendment crowd. All these guys are protesting, and they picked a town in Ohio. It's a small town, about 3,000 people, less than 3,000 people. No black people have been killed here en masse by the police or by people, but Black Lives Matter decided they were going to have a protester going to be traveling in from Cincinnati, Columbus, and Detroit to augment the numbers of these two rallies they were planning.
Paid agitators.
That's right. They were going there to do a protest because the people in the town didn't want to protest for themselves. They didn't care that much.
But they picked the wrong town.
They did. Yes, they did. Because in this town of 3,000 people, they managed to get 80 protesters together. Now, these 80 protesters decided they were going to march and they were going to teach this town a lesson. Well, apparently the town decided that they were not going to have any destruction, any burning, any looting, any murdering going on in their town. So 800 citizens, many of them armed, showed up to greet the BLM protesters and the Antifa protesters.
To welcome them to their city.
Yes. Here, enjoy our city. You do anything wrong, we will fix you.
If you've got money, please, we're open for you. And we'll even give the Wuhan Kung Flu a pass. Come on in.
Have you ever heard of a group that are motorcycle riders called Hell's Angels?
Oh,
once or twice.
Yeah.
When I was in the military, I was stationed in a beautiful part of our country, Monterey, the Monterey Peninsula, and Hell's Angels it was very unique. I thought it was funny, but. I did see them a couple of times, and they weren't anything I wanted to laugh at. But they also had a reputation for, and they would send, just like in this Ohio town, they would send a town, we are coming to your city, and we would like to be protected, and we'd like to be welcomed, and Monterey decided we don't want the Hells Angels under any circumstance because they were known to maybe party a
Cause
little
a little
hardy.
trouble
Well, yeah,
sometimes.
they weren't the
And they
most,
would block. When I saw them in Salinas, California, and the police were not doing anything, and they had all lanes blocked in front of a motorcycle shop.
Oh.
And they were just buying a few pieces for their motorcycles. But anyway, Monterey, the fathers of Monterey said, no, we don't want any part of them. I believe it was it may have been Carmel, but I think it was Monterey.
It's in California. The Hells Angels are generally West Coast, while the Outlaws are generally East Coast.
So, pardon?
The Outlaws are generally East Coast.
Yeah, well,
it's another
no,
biker
it is
gang.
rival.
Biker.
No,
It's a
this was-
biker club. Another
Yes.
club.
But anyhow, so the city fathers met them with shotguns, baseball bats, anything they had, and the
And
Hells
said, "Keep
Angels
riding."
decided maybe we don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And they turned their wheels and left.
Right.
Well,
Hey,
this
you know.
happened to this place. I mean, they have they had hundreds of patriots standing up for America to face this 80 to 100 protesters that showed up to support the burn, loot, murder crowd. And they said there were minor scuffles, but odds overwhelmingly in favor of the residents stayed relatively calm. Now, keep in mind, this city only has 8 police officers. Now, they were all there.
But
And they had a good backup
Yes,
in the name of the
like I say,
citizen.
8 police officers against 100 protesters. Not good odds for the police officers, but their citizens were standing behind them saying, you're not going to destroy our town, you're not going to burn, you're not going to loot, you're not going to
It
murder
was
here.
a nice citizen militia, if you will.
That's right.
gee, I think that's protected by something.
I
isn't it?
believe there is an amendment, if I could just remember which one.
The 12th, the 22nd, the 222nd.
No,
The victory sign.
I want to say it's like right up there, maybe number 2.
Yes, right behind the First Amendment.
And it's
yes.
there for a reason.
That's right, to
But-
protect the First Amendment. And now these residents, they didn't have a lot of sympathy for the grandstanding protesters because apparently Bethel is 97% white. Which, according to the U.S. Census, means there's about 2 people in the entire town who are black. And none of them have been killed.
And none of them
None
were
of them
killed.
been assaulted. None of them been
assaulted.
annoyed, bothered,
No,
held up in any way.
no minority was beaten for no reason or killed.
And they said, why don't you take this to Chicago? Black people are getting killed every day in
Every day.
Chicago. They're not getting killed here.
in record numbers.
Supposedly no charges were filed on anybody. They detained a couple of people for questioning, but everybody went home and nothing was destroyed, burned, or looted.
I would love to go to one of these, and maybe we'll have to do an on the street America's Web Radio. But I would love to go to one of these protests and ask them, why aren't you in Chicago? Why aren't you protesting the black kids
Where's
who
Chicago?
were killed
What's happening in Chicago?
and all the deaths?
I know,
That happened.
because it's not police on people.
114 shot.
In
Those were
one
black
weekend.
people that were shot this weekend.
Okay, was that reported on Facebook or on Twitter?
Probably
If they,
not.
You know, that's
So
where
it
they
probably
get their
didn't
news.
happen.
You know.
Yeah, the
Oh,
social
no.
media crowd.
The Democrats will go out of their way to make sure people don't learn about what really happens in Chicago.
But apparently this militia was not just men. It was couples, men's, women, young and old, all came out for the quote-unquote peaceful protesters because they were not going to have any trouble in their town. And 800 to 100, they were going to make sure those numbers were in their favor, and they were apparently.
They merely said, welcome to our city, and you can peacefully protest, but
Yes.
it will be peaceful.
The first sign of trouble, they were ready to
Yeah,
take
ready to
matters
take
into their own
action.
hands. And the police were probably right there with them going,
them.
you know, if we need some help, we're going to
Yeah.
call you guys for backup.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's say, as the protest time grew near, local residents Donna Henson, 78, said of the local crowds, everybody had a gun, like a cowboy show.
I like it. That's my kind of town.
You know,
That was
people
I love
people have
that.
said, you know, everybody carrying a gun, we're going back to the Wild West. You know,
I heard the Wild West was not really that wild.
You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't that. I was going to say.
And they
it wasn't
knew
that-
what to do with their pistols.
That wild,
and,
and
That's right. Everyone knew how to have safe gun handling back then, unless they got a little too drunk.
they had very good gun safety measures.
and Wyatt Earp
And,
just hit people over the head with his.
Yeah.
Back of his gun.
He
Yes.
tried to peaceful. That's right. You know, technically, Wild Earp didn't kill a whole lot of people,
He didn't have to.
but because he
His
didn't have to.
reputation preceded him.
Yep.
Now, this is one I saw real quick. It was in D.C. Apparently, a video doorbell, a ring, captured a massive gunfight in a D.C. neighborhood.
Wow.
I mean, these guys, there had to be a dozen participants and about 50 shots fired over the course of like 5 to 7 minutes. This is in the middle of the day. 6:41. So it was daylight out, and this took place. I mean, oh my God! You could see you could see the video, and you could hear people yelling off screen, and then all of a sudden they start firing and going back and forth. One guy pulls a gun out of the backseat of a car and starts unloading. And then the police sirens, you can hear them in the background. They open the cars, they throw the guns in, they start walking off in different directions. It was crazy.
Was that the cops or the bad guys?
No, the gun battle. I don't know who was bad and who was good at this point. They were both shooting at each other. I figured just let them all kill each other and walk away.
Well,
I don't know what happened.
They're too bad of a shot.
Well, they were moving from car to car, taking up cover, jumping back and forth. And
Bad shots.
it was like a real live gun battle in the middle of a city street during daylight hours
This was where?
in a neighborhood in suburb outside of D.C.
Of course. And who runs D.C.? The Democrat Party.
Washington, D.C., a wild shootout from the middle of a street in the Trinidad neighborhood of the nation's capital on Friday evening. Caught on a video by a security camera at a nearby house.
And that mayor is probably proud of herself.
What? And nobody's talking about it at all that I know of, anyway. But what I find sad about all of this, one more time, the United States has come through, and it's getting no mention at all, and that's our space effort. And I don't know of any
That's right.
major anything that's saying the guys are still there, or the guys and
They're at
girls
the space
are
Oh,
station.
the space
They're
station,
still
yeah,
there.
the International Space
and
Station.
they are going to take the SpaceX back.
Were they led by Howard Wolowitz?
He had to fix the toilet.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I understood they established a zip line between the space station and Earth, and it's going to be
that would
one
be
hell of a ride.
that would be the best zip line ever. I would sign up for that. That would be awesome.
Okay, we've got a minute left real quick. After a weekend of people getting shot in Chaz or Chop or Retardville, whatever it is,
Libtardville, Marxistville.
the city leaders have finally decided they're going to dismantle the city autonomous zone after at least 3 people were shot in the area over the weekend.
But the mayor wants to do it without the police.
Right, or limit the police and what they're allowed to use.
Okay, guys.
Crazy. That is it for yet another Locked and Loaded.
Yep, I'm Roger B. with my guest Victor Armendariz and Legend Dave, and we'll be back again for more next time. You're listening to
The
America's
Docs
Web
for
Radio.
Patient Care Foundation is your way to join the fight and become a member of an organization